You know that about 15% of people in Ghana suffer from dyslexia. Well, this means close to 5 million Ghanaians are struggling with literacy problems in schools, workplaces, and at home. Dyslexia is the most common learning disability in children, but it has not received the needed attention in developing countries like Ghana. Well, GH1 News' Nadima Umar Uthman reports that despite the introduction of the inclusive education policy in Ghana, there are still concerns regarding how teachers and even parents accommodate learners with disabilities such as dyslexia.
One thing that really even damaged was BEC time, where my school that I was going to was like, we're not going to register you as part of our candidates. Simply because they feel like if you are part of the candidates, you're going to taint their results.
This is the struggle Rosalind Nate has had to grapple with for over 30 years. Till this day, she struggles to read and pronounce some basic words despite having a master's degree.
I was almost turning 18 and still in JHS 3. So of course my parents will ask me, what's the solution? We went to a village and registered me. As a child, I remember from 13 years, I would be sitting down and there would be weird talks in my mind, like guessing who I am. I was considered as damn stupid, like, why are we teaching you and you're not getting it?
Rosalind struggled her way through school without knowing why she could not comprehend what seemed to be so easy for other students her age. She was later diagnosed with dyslexia. Rosalind says this inspired her to set up the Africa Dyslexia Organization to bring the conversation to the forefront of national conversations. Dyslexia is a learning disability characterized by difficulty in processing, producing, and using language. Its sufferers find it difficult to express their language skills, including reading, writing, spelling, and speaking. A child with dyslexia finds it difficult to differentiate similar letters such as B, P and D, W and M. They read the word incorrectly or reverse the letters. You might have chanced on the movie Like Stars on Earth, which depicts the struggles of a young boy struggling with dyslexia.
Can I have your initial, Ishan? Ishan!
For some, the movie was fictitious, but for Rosalind, it struck a chord.
When all this was going on, all the thought that comes in my mind is, should I run away? Should I go somewhere far away? Maybe go to a beach where nobody is there, live my life over there, or go to a forest where nobody is there and just live there alone. I'll have my peace of mind.
Despite the fact that more than 5 million Ghanaians live with dyslexia, very little attention has been given to the condition. Like Rosalind, 12-year-old Na Atre has had her fair share of dyslexia-related problems. Her mother, Dorcas, tells me her young daughter has gone through several traumatic experiences in school simply because she could not fit into the country's one-style-fits-all teaching approach.
She came home one day from school, said, "Mommy, today my people were laughing at me again. All because we're doing our classwork and I wanted to spell a certain word, so I took my textbook to refer the word music. The teacher said, so the simple word music you can't spell in front of the whole class."
Although dyslexia cannot be cured, it can be managed through therapy sessions. However, with Ghana's doctor-to-patient ratio of about 1 doctor to 1,000 patients, very few psychologists offer these services. The few ones available can charge between $100 to $500. When Na Atre was 10 years old, her parents decided to seek professional treatment which drained their finances and made their pursuit more difficult.
I realized the way she reads, writes has changed. So we thought she was being lazy, and so we had to push her more. We were beating her Unfortunately, we were comparing her to a younger sister who was good.
Na Atwe is great with art and supports a new research that suggests that children with dyslexia often exhibit higher nonverbal creativity than their peers with no comprehension problems. Dr. Seto is a medical doctor and explains that dyslexia is largely inherited from a parent or an acquired type which may result from brain injury or a disease.
Every primary health care point will be able to give diagnosis and basic support. Now, after giving diagnosis and basic support, we need a specialist to take over treatment and management. Now, the problem in this side of the world is that most things that have to do with the brain, writing, reading, the abstract things, people either do not pay too much attention to it or they are not very accessible because they are probably very expensive.
But how can one differentiate between dyslexia and one who simply refuses to learn?
You would definitely identify it because a dyslexic child will mix his words. You will see that this person is struggling. But a child who is actually lazy will do well at some point. Not maybe in all the subjects because they might not like some of the subjects. But truth of the matter is they are not lazy. When those children say they are tired, they are actually tired. And the average person, because they can't do things like the average person will think, why are you tired after reading just one paragraph? But no, that is like really labor intensive for them.
A dyslexic student in class will often watch his or her peers completing assignments, reading books, and wonder why he or she cannot interact with print in this manner. This may often result in low self-esteem and embarrassment as he or she has to struggle to survive in an environment that is replete with reading and writing activities. Hudaya Abdurraouf is a teacher and says the teacher-class ratio, especially in public schools, makes it almost impossible to provide the right intervention.
I had a student who was good, but he was usually absent-minded. The moment we start activities of writing or reading, he's always going to be. So that was when I realized that no, there is something, because why is he not interested in learning? I got him closer to me. So when I'm teaching, his chair is just by me like this. We go for trainings. We just go back to what we are doing. After all, who is supervising? How many people come for monitoring and supervision? So that's another thing. We go for the training because we are supposed to go to. But I go to my classroom. You don't come and stress me with your problems. I'm just at my table. So that's the reality on ground.
The introduction of Ghana's inclusive education policy, introduced in 2015, set out the government's strategy for supporting the education of all children with special educational needs. Founder for Africa Dyslexia Organization, Rosalind Nate, believes the policy has failed.
Ghana, we have a lot of improvement to do. Even when you take the university graduates that are coming into our workforce, you have to spend a lot of money and a lot of resources on them, training them. That means something is not working. I saw the inclusive education policy, and it was giving priority to physical disabilities, which is great. But the question is, where is the resources to make it happen?
As stakeholders continue to push for a more inclusive society, persons like Na Atwe and their caregivers believe all hands must be on deck in realizing this.
Ghanaian parents, for us, it's all about book, and we want our children to do well, excel at whatever they do. You should be able to write, you should be able to read, you should be able to do all sort of things that every child is doing. When you do that, you are killing the one who is not doing well.
For GH1 News, Nadima Omar Uthman, Accra.